We do have our version of Ricky Henderson this morning, and we ain't messing around because Lucas Panzica had a late night, and we mean this in the most positive, literal sense known to mankind. The play-by-play voice of Nashville SC on 104.5 up in Nashville. All right, so go ahead and flash the tee. Go ahead and flash it. Go ahead, show it. There we go. Come on.
The throat coat. We're on the same page on that one.
No doubt. I have in my travel bag, literally the bottom of the travel bag is in its entirety.
It's good stuff.
Packets of throat coat tea, and everybody's sitting there. They're struggling. Else they go, hang on. You can go into the bag, hand it over. When did you officially, I guess, A, get off the air last night, and B, get home, and C, end up crashing? I guess is my first question.
Yeah, I guess we got off the air close to midnight, and I end up home at 12:30-ish, and yeah, falling asleep around 1:30. I mean, it was tough to fall asleep, man. That was the loudest I've ever heard that place. Totally wired. Yeah, what a night in Nashville. Truly, I mean that was I knew, it's one of those that you go home thinking like this isn't going to be a full 7 to 8 hours, and you're perfectly fine with that because you would take what happened on Tuesday night over anything.
No doubt. And I mean, it was Leagues Cup personified. And I think the big question going in was how full would the building be? How many Nashville fans would be there, and how many fans from a Liga MX side would be there? Because we didn't really get the full picture from the production aspects when we were watching it on television. How full a building was it, and how divided were the fans?
Officially, the attendance comes out as about 28,000, just under 28,000 in a 30,000 person stadium. Certainly the best attendance Nashville has had so far in Leagues Cup. And as far as the disparity between the fan bases, it was, to me, the perfect balance, John, because it was very much a Nashville home game. The majority of the fans there were certainly Nashville. The minority of Monterrey fans were a very vocal minority, but they were there. Their presence was felt. It was kind of this perfect balance where it wasn't really overwhelming, but it was just enough to make it a really tense environment. It wasn't quite like Club America. That's just a different animal, right? When you talk about Liga MX fan bases, I mean, my goodness, the chaos that was at Geodis Park with that fan base about a week ago. So this was not that. We didn't quite anticipate that, but the Monterrey fans showed up. They showed out. They were loud. They were present, but that supporter section was packed to the gills 40 minutes before kickoff, which I hadn't seen yet at Geodis Park or at a Nashville SC game. I mean, drums thumping, singing over. I mean, while we're getting on the air, we get on the air about 39 minutes before kick. And the crowd noise made it sound like we're in the 60th minute or something when we're opening up the pregame show. So environment was absolutely electric, without a doubt, the loudest I've ever heard that place.
And it showed early, but as some of our folks already who are dialing us up in the Twitch pitch are venting spleens and spacing out their shoulder blades after what happened. It was stuff that you and I got to talk about in the green room before we came on the air. Tom Russo, I can't remember ever watching a match where a referee got two calls so horribly wrong, yet in the end, he felt justice was done. Hani Mukhtar comes on Instagram after the match, and he's going, can someone please explain this to me? And then the Lucas McNaughton call, where we're sitting thinking, okay, well, if you didn't get the Mukhtar one, then the McNaughton one, which you really thought you were going to get penal. And I mean, what's going through your mind in the booth with these?
Yeah, the Mukhtar goal, certainly a shame because, I mean, that is, I would say, Hani's prettiest strike of the season. I mean, that guy's capable of some insane things, but just as far as a picturesque goal, that you want to put up on your wall a shot of or continue to replay, just that curling far post effort, just gorgeous. And what a way to put Nashville in front. Yeah, I mean, Alex Muyl, you kind of advances on Sebastian Andrada, the goalkeeper. And for me, it's probably just the fact that Muyl just gives the slightest little jump towards that ball. In my mind, Andrada's already diving left while that's happening. I mean, his eyes are totally fixed on the ball. I don't think that Alex actually makes an impact there, but I suppose I can see the reasoning. The McNaughton call, huge turning point. I mean, as soon as that happened, when Castellanos, the official, comes away from the monitor and just says, no penalty and Nashville can go ahead. You see Dax McCarty run up to Lucas McNaughton and just kind of grab him by the chest and shake him and shout some things into his face. And everybody's so fired up. And then they turn around and just kind of that look on Dax's face. I think that was a huge turning point in this game. I think that was the point where even maybe Nashville players were thinking, okay, is this about to happen? Are we going to see this for a second time tonight? Oh, the answer is no. Let's go win this thing.
And you end up coming out on the end of the scale, which means that you get another match with some dude named Messi. I don't know if you've heard of him, or Busquets or Jordi Alba, some dudes that have apparently done pretty well. I mean, when it comes to this run, I mean, especially going through all of the I'm just going to go ahead and use it, just the wildness. That's the word I'm going to use with the Club America match. And let me go back to that for a second, because my brain and squirrel. Club America match. Have you ever been in a situation that has been as crazy as that one, either covering something or behind the mic for something?
No, not at all. And so our situation at 104.5 The Zone as the radio partner for Nashville Soccer Club.
Excellent plug. Nice.
There you go. We have two play-by-play broadcasters. It's myself and Will Bowling. Will Bowling is on our morning show at the station. I'm on the midday show at the station. And we kind of rotate around. Jalilani Baba, MLS veteran, played for Nashville a couple years. He's our analyst for each and every game. So Will was on the call for that game, in the Club America game. And I kind of love this arrangement we have, because it gives me the opportunity every odd game to go as a fan. And that was one that, yes, I certainly would have, had the pleasure to call and love doing that. But I was not terribly upset that I got to experience that one from a fan's perspective. I'm just in the building and taking it all in. And let me tell you, John, that might have been the finish to any game in any sport I've ever witnessed in person. Besides the Sam Surridge debut goal and the final touch of the game in the 9th minute of stoppage time, like that was the third craziest thing that happened that night. And then it goes to penalties, and the penalty shootout goes on, and Jack Mayer steps up having to convert. His penalty is saved. And then I left. I was there with a friend, and we walked out of the stadium just kind of talking, man, what a crazy game. And, appreciate you coming out. That was awesome, but, tough loss. But, just kind of reveling in what a insane match that was. And then we're starting to hear chatter. We haven't totally left to the outside of the stadium yet and gone into the parking lots, and I'm hearing like whispers of people are retaking the penalty. And we just go back in, and fans are streaming back into the stadium. And we just walk back in, and I walk through the concourse, and when I walk up and I see the field come into view, I mean, it's chaos. I look to the left, and I see 13 fans running around on that side of the field. I look to the right, and I see a security guard down after suffering a non-contact injury, chasing one of the fans. There's a stretcher coming out for the security guard. There's beer showers and cups raining down from the upper deck. Yeah. I mean, complete pandemonium, just trying to process everything. And it was an eternity before they came out and actually said that the penalty would have to be retaken, that Malagón came off his line. And they do so when they announced that. Obviously, the Club America fans didn't take that lightly. In the end, I believe the final tally was 18 fans arrested for invading the pitch at Geodis Park. And then Jack steps up. He converts. Jonathan Dos Santos steps up, hits the crossbar, and then Dan Lovitz buries his penalty, and Nashville moves on to the Leagues Cup semifinal.
Two guys I want to talk to you about, and you've mentioned both in that last Q&A here. Elliot Panico and Sam Surridge. I want to get into, and you can go dealer's choice, whoever you want to talk about first. Surridge, I know that the price tag. A lot of folks might have stared at that price tag, bringing him over from Nottingham Forest, and there might have been the people's eyebrow that might have been raised with that particular purchase. And then Elliot Panico, who is traditionally a PK specialist that you bring in for the late sub in these situations. Not the first time in this tournament that has happened, but now Panico has taken that rhythm and he's become the starting keeper for this Leagues Cup run. When you look at those two guys, what have your observations been from the booth?
Sort of opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Sam Surridge, Nashville kind of had a target on his back for Nashville, and they saw him, they wanted him, fit absolutely everything Gary Smith wanted in a striker, in the physicality, the hold-up play, the ability to finish. And he's fit in pretty seamlessly. Obviously, now at this point, 3 goals in 3 games, all coming in as second half substitutes. So you go get your designated player number 9, something that this club has been after now for a couple of years to really get right and get to that next level. So that was the big signing that this club has been pursuing. And then on the flip side of that, you have Elliot Panico, who's been backing up Joe Willis, who has had a fantastic resurgence in Nashville. I mean, he comes to this club in 2020 in that inaugural MLS season, and I think Joe Willis is having. Sorry, I think I skipped out on you there. I think Willis is having the best season of his career this year. He's second in the league at the moment, MLS regular season in save percentage, led the league for the majority of the year. So it's not necessarily about Joe Willis taking a step back, but you get into the Cincinnati game and it goes to shootout, and Matt Pickens, Nashville's goalkeeping coach, who won MLS Cup under Gary Smith and played for Nashville's USL version, he's pushing for Elliot to get in because he knows what Elliot is as a shot stopper in a penalty setting. And he pushes for it. Gary makes it happen. And then Nashville defeats Cincinnati, which is probably the turning point for me in this tournament for this team. Fast forward to Club America, and it's not really much of a discussion on the touchline. The game goes to penalties, and okay, this is just what happens now. Elliot comes in. And then Joe had to actually leave. He had to travel to deal with some personal family issues for the quarterfinal against Minnesota. So Elliot slots in, clean sheet. He gets the opportunity to start last night in the game against oh my goodness, my brain is totally fried. I just called this game against Monterrey. So I'm just reliving the last month or so. It's been a crazy July/August for this club. So look, when we return to MLS regular season play, I could be wrong. I anticipate Joe Willis coming back as this team's starting goalkeeper because he has done nothing to be unseated or to lose that job. But what a growing moment for Elliot Panico, the 26-year-old out of Paducah, Kentucky, went to college at Charlotte to play for the 49ers. Just, helping this club, achieve a moment of history in CONCACAF Champions League qualification and the opportunity to host Inter Miami for a cup final.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a tournament, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Bit of a tournament, hasn't it, Lucas?
It has not disappointed in the slightest. Every game, even the games that have been routes, have just been entertaining from start to finish. Whether it's LAFC's entry into the tournament with a 7-1 win,
and their exit,
right, and their exit against Monterrey in the quarterfinal, or if it's just a scoreless gridlocked game between Monterrey and Tigres that just requires a stoppage time penalty in the final moments. None of these games, none of this tournament has hit a lull, and I think it's pretty much gone best case scenario.
How many people in your interactions coming into this tournament were anti-Leagues Cup? How many were pro-Leagues Cup? And how many have had their opinions turn to enjoying the tournament?
Yeah, I've seen some reaction, whether it be on social media or chatting with Nashville fans here and there that like, oh, come on, what is this competition? We're just making stuff up, yada, yada, yada. Like, and for me, it was never that deep. You know what I mean? Like they're just playing soccer. you're just playing soccer for trophies. I never looked into it that much. I never really understood that perspective of asking, what's the point? Well, this is the point. Nashville's going to be in CONCACAF Champions League next year. It's something that is, as you know, a very hard thing to accomplish in this league. Yeah. So, I mean, Lionel Messi is going to play in Nashville, Tennessee, in the Wedgwood neighborhood, south of downtown. So I think if you told anybody that 4 weeks ago or so, they would not be objecting to Leagues Cup as a whole. But also Nashville, kind of limped into Leagues Cup in a way. I mean, they were on their worst run of form in the regular season. They had lost 3 in a row. They had lost 5 of their last 6. So maybe Nashville fans were coming at it from that perspective of the timing wasn't great. Maybe they didn't love having to be put on pause for a month plus before trying to dig out of that tough stretch of form in regular season play. Nashville's still in a good spot in the Eastern Conference standings, but the way that they have just put a defibrillator into this 2023 campaign with this run, I can't wait to see, what it does down the stretch here when we get back into regular season play.
Michael Valverde, who's watching this morning, says Nashville's ball movement last night was amazing. Pace and precision in the attack I've not seen from them, and possessed the ball well too. What do you think about that? When you look at what you got to see with ball movement last night, going up against Monterrey, what were you looking at when it came to things on the offensive end?
Yeah, Monterrey is a side that can beat you both ways. They can possess the ball. They can be lethal on the counter. They're excellent in recovery. So I think Nashville went into the game looking for a balance between what they did against Toluca, losing in the group stage to Toluca, which was one of the most fun attacking sides of this tournament. But 4-3, I mean, you don't see that. It's happened once in the Gary Smith era against Toronto in Lorenzo Insigne's debut goal in 2022.
Everybody ran the next day at practice.
I can't imagine what it was like at the facility the next day. That is Gary Smith's worst nightmare, losing a game 4-3. So you had that very open, much more open than to Gary's liking. And then the Club America game, which was a bit more thoughtful on Nashville's end. They were certainly more disciplined, more organized, and still, making an impact in the attack. And so, Gary told us this week leading up to the Monterrey game, we need to find a balance. We need to find a hybrid between the two. And I think Nashville did that. They ceded possession. Ultimately, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. I believe Monterrey had 67% possession, somewhere in that neighborhood in the 60s. Which makes sense. The last 10 or so minutes of that game is Monterrey just building wave after wave after wave, desperately trying to equalize. Mm-hmm. But Nashville has kind of gotten into this reputation at times of taking the lead and then just, sitting back. This team has found a way to pick its moments when up by a goal or two and absorbing all that pressure, to find that pressure release valve. With the additions of Fafa Pico and Jacob Schaffelberg and now Sam Surridge last night, it's Fafa Pico making the difference there in the final moments, leaving no doubt. Last kick of the game is Pico roofing it to make it 2-0. So, yeah, I think the way Nashville was able to balance, yes, some spells of possession in Monterrey's half, but just not getting caught out. The recovery defending was the best so far in this tournament that Nashville has shown against the Monterrey side that, for me, John, going in, I said was the most quality side just from an individual quality perspective that Nashville's ever seen as a club. I mean, you're talking about almost 400 caps across the board on that roster. World Cups all over the place for Spain, Argentina, and Colombia and Mexico. So, yeah, I think they came in prepared. They did not leave themselves exposed, and they picked their moments and converted them.
Any early returns on Schaffelberg, considering he left the match early?
Haven't heard anything on Jacob Schaffelberg. That was interesting because it was nothing really that we noticed, I mean, maybe you saw him get up laboring a bit, but nothing out of the ordinary. And then suddenly in the 16th minute, Fafa Pico is at the touchline and coming in. So, obviously something not quite right there. Not sure. We do not have any status on Jacob Schaffelberg. I suppose we'll learn more today for the final on Saturday. He's had a great tournament, 5 assists, I believe, for Jacob Schaffelberg. So he's kind of taken on that role of a provider with his crossing ability from that left flank. But, Fafa Pico adds a lot of similar elements when it comes to speed. I think Pico is an excellent dribbler and finisher and a little bit more experienced. So, Jacob Schaffelberg being out would be a huge blow. I do not know if that's the case. But you feel good about what you have with Fafa Pico and the impact that he's had in this tournament as well with his 2 goals.
So then does this mean that Wes is calling the match and you're going to be kind of hanging out and doing pre, half, and post, or are you guys going to battle it out at the studio?
The battle royale when I get into the building. No, it's so Will Bowling, which is it's a very easy mistake to make. His older brother Wes.
Yeah, Will.
I know. Listen, buddy, you are not the first one. So Will's older brother Wes used to be the play-by-play voice of the team. And now, here the games go over to the zone, and myself and Will are sharing the load. But trust me, you are not alone in that. It's funny, if Will and Wes called a game together, you would think it's a solo call. Those guys, so it is pretty cool, though, I think, that torch kind of being passed down. But Will's on the call for this one, and I just can't wait to take it in. I mean, truly, it's a surreal moment for everybody in Nashville, for soccer fans. I think just generally in the state of Tennessee, where even 4, 5, 6 years ago, something like this would have been a pipe dream, just something that you wake up from, not something that's going to be happening at Geodis Park on Saturday night.
Looking forward to it. And obviously, Lucas Panzica on the Twitters. So keep an eye on him. He's going to be taking a lot of pictures from the press box with the backs of a lot of dudes' heads. Hey, I'm here. Look at this. Look at this. And get your scarves. Get your game day scarf. Get all your stuff. Make sure that you have all the photos and everything. Cut the promo for me for all the coverage that goes on there at 104.5 with you and everybody else.
Yeah, 104.5 The Zone, at 104.5 The Zone on Twitter. I'm at Lucas Panzica on Twitter. We'll be covering the lead up to this match on Saturday. Nashville hosting Miami in the Leagues Cup final at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. You can listen on the 104.5 The Zone app as well. 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern time for you folks in Atlanta. And I just can't wait to one of those days where I know I've hardly had any sleep, but you just can't wait to get to work, right? We're going to be talking Titans preseason football and training camp and joint practices with the Vikings, but I cannot wait to get to work and open up the show just reliving what happened last night.
That's going to be fun. And so we're going to make an early claim for you on Monday.
Let's do it.
Monday to talk about everything, the experience, and bring you back batting lead off. And our buddy Bam, who watches and listens from Australia, is suggesting make sure Messi gets a dodgy dinner before the game.
Maybe I could think of a couple of places in Nashville to send Messi.
There you go. All right. So get your tea. Make sure that you're overdosing on that, and save the voice and save the pipes, because I know that you're going to be yelling from the booth when you're not doing play-by-play in the weekend. Lucas, thanks for batting lead off this morning.
Hey, appreciate it, John.